Hey friends, it's Hope, and today I'm here to do my October wrap-up. This month I read 8 books, and I was planning on reading some books on my bookshelf that have been on my TBR for a while, and they were more of those spooky paranormal reads. But of course, that did not work, and if you guys have seen my TBR for October, you guys saw that I had half of those October-ish reads and then the other half guilty pleasure reads. And I'll just tell you now that it was mostly a guilty pleasure read type of month because that's just what I was in the mood for, so I just went with it. The first 3 books I actually read were a part of a trilogy, and it was by Nora Roberts. That was the Borough trilogy, and it followed 3 brothers who are in the business of remodeling pretty much, and their whole family has taken over this inn and they are remodeling it, and the 3 books follow each brother through their journey of that and other projects that they work on, and of course they end up meeting girls who in this case are friends, and they fall madly in love, and yeah, you guys get the drift. These were my first Nora Roberts books that I've read, and I've had a lot of people recommend the Bride Quartet, and I'm planning on reading that this month, fingers crossed. The first book though in this trilogy I really adored. I ended up rating this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The second book, which is called The Last Boyfriend, I thought was a little too cheesy and I didn't enjoy it as much as the first, and so I ended up rating this book a 2 out of 5 stars. And then the third book I got from the library, and it is called The Perfect Hope. I ended up rating that book a 3 out of 5 stars. Then after that, the library sent me a notification letting me know Before We Were Strangers was available for me to pick up. This book I actually really enjoyed, and I also gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. If you guys are looking for a really cute lovey-dovey type of book, that will be a really quick read, I definitely suggest picking up Before We Were Strangers. It was a very pleasant read. And then after that, I had been hearing so much just buzz and really great things about the Ritchie sisters, and my friend Tanya actually recently met the Ritchie sisters, and she was just raving about how nice they were and how much she loved their books, and so naturally I had to get my hands on one of them, and actually Addicted to You, which is part of the Addicted series, was free on Kindle that day, so I went ahead and picked it up. I ended up really enjoying it, and I also rated this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Now this book, I don't even know if it would even be considered new adult. It definitely had a lot of more adult-ish situations, and I wouldn't recommend this book for my younger readers, but if you guys are into like new adult and more adult romance type of book, this actually did have really great character development. You got to see the characters just in a whole new light because of the situation that they're in and the addictions that they are trying to live with day to day. It was a very unique story and I really enjoyed it. I hope to continue on with the series, but yeah, for now I rated this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and I am dying to get my hands on Amor by the Ritchie sisters. The library also notified me that I had another book waiting, and I could not wait a single second more without getting this book in my hands, and that is After You by Jojo Moyes. I read Me Before You last year. I really adored it, and I squealed when I found out that there was going to be a sequel. This does take place 6 months after Me Before You ended. I did do a non-spoiler book review over Me Before You and After You. I will link both of those down below. I ended up rating this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I actually liked it a little bit less than Me Before You. I was thinking that this book was going to have a way different feel than it did, but like all of Jojo Moyes' books, the writing is just so effortless and the humor is great. She writes some really great characters that you love to read about and root for. The ending of this book was very optimistic, but it was one of those ones that was very open-ended, and so I'm hoping that Jojo Moyes decides to write a third and final book to kind of conclude everything and to wrap it up, because I would really love to see what happens after the end of this book. I also had this book on hold at the library, and I decided to pick it up because I've seen it all over BookTube, and that is Slasher Girls and Monster Boys by all these amazing authors. And I actually ended up DNFing this book. It just wasn't my thing. I realized that I am not a big horror fan. I did do a non-spoiler book review describing why I decided to not finish and to review the short stories that I did read. I will link that down below if you guys are interested in hearing more of my thoughts. And for the last book that I read this month, I actually listened to on audiobook, and that was 7 by Jen Hatmaker. This book is about cutting out excess in your life, and she focused on 7 things that she uses excessively, and each month she focused on that one specific thing. I honestly liked the possessions and the clothing one the most. It was something I could relate to and really examine in my own life. The truth of the matter is we all live a life of excessiveness, and there are things that we could probably cut out of our lives. For me, it would definitely be possessions and clothing. Those are the 2 things that I probably have way too much of. I definitely thought that For the Love was a little bit more inspiring and more relatable and more encouraging. It was just more of a lot of what I would want in a type of book like that. So that is why I ended up rating this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I just thought the other book was a lot better, which I read last month. And did I do a non-spoiler book review over that book? I can't even remember. If I did, I'll link that down below. Jen Hatmaker is just such a great person in general, and I find her books very interesting. If you guys are looking to maybe be encouraged to cut out some excessiveness in your life, I definitely suggest picking this up. If you guys are looking for just an overall really empowering book, I definitely suggest you guys picking up For the Love by Jen Hatmaker, which, like I said, I read last month. But yeah, with that said, it was a pretty good reading month. I actually don't think I read a book that I rated 5 out of 5 stars, which is very rare. I usually have one book that I'm just like over the moon about, but this was an exception. So my best in books may be very interesting. You guys will have to stick around for that and see what I end up doing this month. That wraps it up for this month's wrap up. I hope you guys had a wonderful reading month. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books down below, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'm sure I will see you guys very soon. Bye!